Hey everybody, we're here for the new episode of Five for Talking. I'm here with Caps, the captain of the show, and we're here for the second round of the playoffs. A lot of things happened in the first round, a lot of surprising things, I think. And I'm not sure where you want to start, um, but for some reason, I'm going to give you the option.
Let's start off with Boston.
Okay.
What a shocker.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it just goes to prove that the playoffs are a different animal. You know what I
can,
mean?
can I double down on this?
Sure.
And I'm going to say Colorado and Boston.
Yeah, I mean,
And I'll tell you why, and then I think we can discuss this. It's the Panthers, like whatever happened during the season and our feelings, regardless. We both knew coming into this year that the Panthers were still a good team. I think even in the playoff race, you were the one who didn't count them out that they were going to make the playoffs and they could make noise in the playoffs. And I think there's a little subtle difference in comparing Florida beating Boston, even though Boston obviously was the best team. I think that's maybe the caveat on that end. But Seattle's like a nobody team. Like, name somebody on Seattle. um, you know
I
what I
mean,
mean? Now, obviously you can, but you get my point.
I get your point. This is sometimes, a good team is a good team, and
Okay.
sometimes, a bunch of nobodies can get together and build some chemistry and really do something really awesome. I mean, I knew going into the playoffs that the Panthers would be more of a threat to Boston than the New York Islanders,
Yep.
and I kind of knew that once you push back, it's like they're taking off their game a little bit, and it really doesn't matter what they did during the season. There's one thing that I've noticed, honestly, and maybe you can agree with me on this or maybe not, but there are teams out there that know they're good enough to make the playoffs, and they do the bare minimum to make those playoffs. But as soon as the playoffs happen, they go into a different mode.
Which
They
Florida definitely did that.
Yeah. I mean, and you said yourself, like Florida was the best team last year, throughout the season. I think they're still just as good, but they went in a different gear in those last maybe month and a half
Yeah, and
before.
I think we questioned a lot of what they did. Like, I don't want to dwell on the Panthers for too long and drag this video out, but um I think when we saw that trade happen, we thought, wow, look at how many pieces Calgary added to replace everything they lost. And yes, I think maybe as an overall team, that in that trade specifically, not including whatever else they did, Florida lost a little bit as a whole team. But what they did gain was a legitimate superstar hockey player who still has a lot of room to grow. And I think Huberto without Barkov, it seems like you can. I know they didn't play together the whole time or anything, but you can see that maybe a lot of the Huberto quality was coming from Barkov.
Maybe it's a possibility. But since we brought up Calgary, I mean, you know that Sutter is gone as the coach, and I still do believe that they're a better team than last year with
Mm-hmm.
all those pieces they brought in. I just feel as though um, Sutter Sutter's style was not a good fit for this team. I think
Who do
I
you
think
think
they're
would
going to
fit
bring.
better?
I think they're going to be looking for a coach that's a little more offensively minded, and that fits Kadri's and Hubertor's style a bit better.
So not Mike
Um,
Babcock.
yeah, I made a joke about that to a Calgary a friend of mine who loves Calgary. Um, but I don't know. I think they're just going to be looking for more of an offensive style coach, and I think that better suits this team. Who might that be? I'm not sure. But yeah, it's we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's fair. Everything you said. Back to the original topic. Weird to see
Playoffs.
Boston go out though. I don't think that we don't need to go too deep on that. I think the Colorado thing is much more shocking to me, them being the defending champs. And it's not like they had a terrible season. They turned it around big time in the last like third of the year.
Yeah, they still had injuries that they were dealing with. I mean, Langeskog never came back, did
He
he?
never played at all, I don't think, for the whole season.
That's a huge piece. I think Cal McCarr was suspended for a game. McKinnon, he could never really tell. But he was flying. The goalie's a bit of a letdown.
I mean, he's still really young. They got room to grow with him.
Oh yeah, they're still okay. I would argue if Bargo was on this thing, he would say the biggest shocker would probably be the New York Rangers.
Yeah, the not the favorite, the favorite one. And you know what? Good for New Jersey.
Yeah, good for Jersey. Hell, good for Seattle. Good for the Panthers. Good for a lot of these teams that won.
Yeah, it's a really weird situation we're in where we'll break down the next round, but it's an awkward situation, kind of. It feels strange.
Yep. I know Bargo was high on the LA Kings, but I think this kind of solidifies that the Edmonton Oilers mean business, man.
And that's fine. We wanted this. We originally had been talking about how good the Oilers were.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people misunderstood our love at that moment for the Kings and took it the wrong way, because I think it was more of we were just so shocked at how many people told us the Kings would literally not win a game. There was 0% chance the Kings were going to win a game. And I think that kind of like that's where for me I was like, how are we throwing this Kings team in the garbage? They're a really good team.
They are a really good team. They became better at the trade deadline. So I mean, everybody's got their own opinion.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we can erase the last tier ranking and go back to our original tier ranking.
Yeah, and it would hold up far better.
And Dallas versus Carolina as the final.
Listen, we both had not to like put blame. Okay, we both had wacky ass opinions in this specific tier list based on what was happening at that very moment at the end of the season, right?
Sure.
But I think if you erase Bargo's opinions out of our equation, we might have got a little bit closer to where we are now. And it's not because he had bad opinions, because he has different opinions, and we're weighing three people's choices over just mine and yours, right?
Which is fine.
And it made it interesting. But I think it would have been a bit more. It would have came out a bit more smooth, I think. We
were higher on Winnipeg, no?
I was not.
Really? I can't remember.
Well, the only thing I really remember from that tier list, because like I said, I don't want to stay on that for too long, but was that I wanted a lot more teams in the no chance category. One of them being Florida. But you guys talked me out of it. Either way, it is what it is. I enjoyed making that. It was fun.
It was good. It was good. I mean,
so
it's a lesson for next year, because pretty much the playoffs are just unpredictable.
Yeah. So we'll talk about this next round really quick, and then we'll talk about Leafs. So in the West, the first matchup we have Seattle and the Dallas Stars. This is being filmed. What's the day today? This is Wednesday.
Yep.
So they will be released tomorrow on Thursday. So forgive us for not being fully up to date. But yeah, so Dallas is losing 1-0 to Seattle. That it's irrelevant at this point. Who do you think is going to win this series?
Dude, it can go either way, man. Like, it's crazy. You got Pavelski, who came back from a concussion, who scored all 4 goals. So, I mean, I want to hear your take. I want to hear what you have to say.
I think it's hard to count out Dallas. It really, truly is. But I think Seattle's going to win a shocker Game 7 again. And I
It can
genuinely
go either
feel
way.
like I will not ride them till the end. I do not think Seattle's gonna pass the next round after that or win the Stanley Cup. But I do think we're in for a weird situation where when we get to the other one right now, Vegas versus Edmonton, um, which is like I don't wanna at this point. I actually really have a lot of faith in Edmonton as long as Connor McDavid stays healthy and their goaltending continues to play above its caliber. Good for that. But I think it's going to be Vegas versus Seattle in the semifinals.
I have faith in Edmonton. I believe. I believe they're strong enough to beat the Golden Knights. Like you said, their goaltending needs to stay intact, needs to play up to par. But even that last game, Draisaitl stepped up and he played really well.
Yeah. I mean, he's not it's not like he can't play hockey. He's one of the better players in the NHL. I just think
he's healthy.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, yeah.
Without McDavid, they don't have a chance. Like for the Leafs, if you take Austin Matthews out, it doesn't. I don't think they become a much worse team. I think if you remove Connor McDavid off the Oilers, they're not even remotely in the same caliber as they are now.
At this point in time, I would have to agree with that. Yeah, man, it's I'm still going with the Oilers. I'm going with the Oilers.
That's fair. Okay, we won't go speculate any further than that. What was your choice for Dallas and Seattle? You didn't pick one.
Oh man, you put me on the spot. I'll go with Dallas.
Okay, I'll go with Dallas. I think both series for me are going to be 7 games.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. But the other game that's happening tonight is Carolina and New Jersey, and Jersey just got spanked.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about how good Carolina is for 2 years now, and I feel like last year a lot of people disagreed with us, and I think the evidence speaks for itself at this point.
Well, you just need to keep that up and keep it going. Once again, that was our original pick for this year, doing an original tier ranking. But that'll be interesting. I believe that will go the distance. I don't think that'll be a quick series at all.
No.
I think Jersey's going to learn from tonight's game, and they'll play harder next game, and it'll be an interesting one.
It's so we'll go in the East. I think Carolina's going to win. I'll just get that out of the way. It might be a close. You know what? I could see Game 7 in all 4 series.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I really could.
I would not disagree with that.
Carolina or Jersey for you?
Carolina.
Okay. So I know you're not going to pick. But it's Florida versus the Leafs. And I'm also going to say the Leafs in 7.
I mean, it was a stinker of a game last night. It was a stinker of a game against Tampa in the first game. But I know that they're going to come out hard in the second game. And I'm going to go with you. I'm Leafs in 7. This is probably the first time
he said it out loud.
Said it out loud. But I'm hoping Leafs in 6.
Okay. That's fair.
They just need to tweak a few things, know what they're dealing with. Keith's got to get with his assistant coaches, assess this team and Florida's team, and plan and prepare and eliminate some of the mistakes they made last game, which got Boston in trouble. And I'm not too concerned with being overly physical with Florida. You know, it's so funny because they're like, you got to be physical with Florida. Kachuk just takes those hits and it just bounces out and he just back into the play again. Like nothing's happened.
Also, I watched the whole game and I'm going to be honest with you. The Leafs were more physical than Florida was.
Yeah. No, I can't disagree with that. They need to come back, same game plan, just clean up those mistakes, and then I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. So, but wait, before we go into full Leafs,
Sure.
because we will. I just, like I was saying before, it's a really awkward situation right now, and I know homers are going to disagree with me, but you got to look at this from an NHL perspective. It's the Leafs in the East and 3 really small market teams. Like, sure, they're going to have an adoptive fan base that will grow to like a larger portion, but it's Carolina, Florida, and New Jersey. And we all know, even though New Jersey now is the remaining team of like the Eastern Seaboard in the States, any of those cities will tell you they will not cheer for New Jersey. Like, it's rare you're going to find any New York person that's going to cheer for the Devils, unless you're Putty from Seinfeld. But, and then in the West, you have a team in Edmonton that outside of Alberta, I'm pretty sure nobody's a big fan of. I mean, obviously people are going to like them. Canadian teams, I'm not one of those people, but I know that because of all the winning they did in the 80s, a lot of people are resentful towards them, and their fan base outside of Alberta is not very large. Then you have Vegas, who nobody seems to like after that first season when they went on that run. They're like the bad boy team of the NHL that just nobody likes. And I mean, Dallas, maybe, I guess, because they're the only team in the Southwest. They basically were already, other than the California teams. So they might get some popularity going. And then when you look at, I guess Seattle is kind of a favorite because they're a new team doing what they're doing. They're the only team in the Pacific Northwest of the States. But it's a really, there's no like huge team other than the Leafs that's remaining in terms of like market cap.
Well, that's an interesting take. But I guess what the NHL is hoping for is for some of these small market teams to, to really build an audience.
Yeah, I agree to grow. But I
Yeah.
think if you were looking at this just at face value, you're like, oh, wow. Like, there's no Boston, there's no Philadelphia, there's no Colorado. You know what I mean? There's no Los Angeles Kings.
Well, you're definitely going to have a team that either has never won it or hasn't won it in a while that's going to win the cup this year. So I'm pretty sure that, the NHL is going to be happy about that. I don't think they'll be too happy if it's a Edmonton versus Toronto final.
I think they'll be less happy if it's Edmonton versus Florida. Because I would say Florida at this point, Carolina's fan base has been growing as they've been winning. Like, the fans have come back. Florida doesn't really have much going on.
Yeah, I just don't think Edmonton wants an all-Canadian final. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, that's fair enough. But I do think there's a lot of money to be made had do the Leafs make the finals.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think all of Canada is going to be watching.
There's a lot of European markets where the Leafs are really big as well.
Cool.
I mean, Edmonton's popular, but they're no like Montreal, right? Or something of that.
No, there's a bit of history there, but nothing like one Montreal.
Yeah.
But this will be a cool one. This is
we'll see how this goes.
Cool playoffs.
All right, so let's just go.
It's been entertaining too.
Yeah,
it's not like it's been boring. It's been pretty entertaining.
It's actually been one of the more entertaining years, maybe ever.
Yeah.
Okay, Leafs.
I mean, I've given you a few takes last night during our chat. Nylander needs to step up.
Yeah,
you saw that clip I sent you, right?
Yeah, he was nowhere in last game.
Like, I saw it on all social media afterwards. But it just seems as though that once the opposition gets physical, he becomes a little more back offish.
Yeah,
doesn't want to deal with that kind of. But this is the playoffs, man. You need to step up. Like, there's, now's the time.
You're right.
So he needs to step up. I think, Tavares has his ups and downs. But I just think that they need to clean up some of those mistakes. It's so funny. I know you guys, I think it was Bargo that brought up McCabe, but I'm going to be honest, that duo has been, up and down as well, Brody and McCabe.
Yeah.
But
You know what? Can I give a shout out to Morgan Riley?
I want to give a shout out to that pairing.
Yeah, Morgan Riley was just straight up crunching people last night.
He was. I think he's their best offensive defenseman, but I'm going to have to say that their best defensive defenseman is Luke Shen. What an awesome addition. What an awesome addition. It is so funny because me and you had this take about Luke, let's put Luke Shen with Morgan Riley. And then I just hear people saying, are you nuts? Like that's the worst thing you could possibly do.
You know what? People question a lot of things we say. Sometimes we're right, and most of the time we're right. But very rarely we're wrong. But sometimes we are wrong.
But yeah, what do you think?
I think, and I live with my original opinion that he can't skate. He is a liability at times. But if you put him in the right scenario and both players are doing what they're supposed to be doing at all times, it's perfect.
But I kind of look at Luke Shen as kind of like how I look at Ryan O'Reilly. Ryan O'Reilly is like a very slow skater, but he's a smart player. He knows where to be in certain situations. He knows how to handle the pressure. If he doesn't have a pass, he just gets it out. Like,
you play him with quick people, right? It's kind of like what they did with Jason Spezza.
Yeah.
You put him in the scenario where his speed is not going to affect what's happening. Yeah. You put a slow defenseman with a fast defenseman. As long as Morgan Riley knows that when it's time to go back, he needs to go back. That's what matters, because that's been his problem this year. He's like all over the place and he doesn't go back. That was his biggest issue. He's on top of the giveaways. He pinches and he doesn't move back to help. He just lets the play out.
Yeah.
Giordano wasn't very good yesterday.
No, he wasn't, and so I'm going to be honest. It's kind of been up and down, even in the last series too. I mean, a lot of people like to put the blame on Hall, but that pairing, Giordano has been, I don't know, man. I don't know. But
Ekblad was pretty good, man.
Who?
Ekblad. For Florida.
He was pretty good. That line, that Kachuk line is dangerous, eh?
Yeah.
Montour and Bennett. Wow.
They're pretty
They caused
quick.
a lot of problems for Boston.
Yeah.
They caused a lot of problems for Leafs last night.
I mean, Barkov and Verhaeghe together is also like really scary.
No.
Barkov is arguably the most underrated center in the NHL. Like, he's just so strong, and just watching him play,
consistent for a long time.
It's really crazy. I think the Leafs' biggest advantage in this series, knock on wood for you, is goaltending. Because
Bobrovsky, I don't know where the hell.
Yeah, but okay, he's a former top goalie, right? But how long can he keep it up? It's the same way Florida is in one of those situations with the goaltending of maybe all of the teams that are remaining. Actually, you know what? I'll throw Vegas in there too, where it's like, if the goaltending holds up, sure, you have a real good shot. But if it doesn't, you're in big trouble, because they're not a team who I look at their goaltending and I say, wow, look at this. You know what I mean? Like,
it's been working so far, but hopefully it ends tomorrow night.
Yeah, hopefully it ends tomorrow night. I think the Leafs have been very observant. If you watch them play Tampa Bay, given they squeaked out a win or two here and there, by the end of the series, they seem to fully understand the way Tampa Bay was going to play. Like, they adapted to the style of hockey that Tampa was playing. And my problem with that is they came out against Florida and immediately tried to play that game. And that's not what Florida's doing.
Yeah, I can see that. I would also say that what got the Leafs to the second round is the amount of traffic in front of Vasilevsky, and I didn't see a lot of that last night.
Matthew Nyes had a nice one.
Oh, that was a great one. It's so funny you brought up Matthew Nyes, and There were a few analysts, without naming names, but they were like, you got to put Bunting on the first line. Why are you putting Matthew Knies on the first line? It's like, he scored a goal, like, and Bunting scored a goal. Like, I think Matthew Knies has earned that spot.
I
But
think
here's the other
even-
thing: you
go.
can switch it up at any time.
Yeah,
Like-
and I think questioning that is kind of illogical, especially like if I'm sitting here and I'm not like a professional analyst, okay? Like, yes, we watch a lot of hockey and it's become more ingrained in us to pay attention to things now after doing this for 6 years. But I think to say that Bunting belongs on the first line is crazy after watching the nonsensical hockey he's been playing for the last little while. He did good yesterday because he understands if I don't play well, I'm not going to get my spot back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He on the first line, he was just a nuisance that was getting penalties left to right and center.
He got himself suspended.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure at some point, like he'll probably get that shot again. But for now, they got the right person there.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is the thing that analysts don't understand, is that coaches, especially Keefe, will switch things up if he needs to.
Oh, and we know he will, because that's
and that's
what me and
exactly what he
Bargo hate
did.
the most about him, is that at any point during the game he'll just change the entire team's lines.
Like I didn't think he would bring back the 11-7, and he brought it back for game 6, and that scared the shit out of me. But it worked, and I got nothing but compliments for the guy because he's doing his job, and I'm sure that he'll figure shit out for this one. And I still have a lot of confidence in this team. I think they'll get it done. So that's how I feel about that.
Fair, very fair. I don't have anything else. Do you?
Good.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments, and peace out.